Welcome back, Earthlings. Today we're going to go over why are there 180 degrees in a triangle. Now I want to really emphasize for this whole video, I really care about the process. I really could not care too much about the proof. So you may be coming at this because you need to know this for homework, or you're just curious about it. And guess what? Next time there's some other question, you're not going to know how to do it again. So if you're just focusing on the proof, it's not going to be helpful. It's going to be a little helpful because there's no way you're not going to absorb something. But I really want to emphasize, and I'm going to do my best to make this video showing you guys the process of figuring out. The key is to figure out the proof, not just to say, here's the proof. All right. I mean, because after all, somebody figured it out, right? How did they figure it out? So the process will allow you to figure it out by yourself methodically. So that's good. The proof is not so good. All right. I mean, well, the proof is good, but by itself, it's not really that important. So I'm including this video not because I think this is such an important concept to do, but because I think this will help illustrate some of the stuff we just talked about in the introductions, particularly steps 1 and 2. So if you haven't seen that, you should go back and watch those videos. Step 1 was about drawing a good diagram and about how to do that. It's not just as simple as draw a diagram. And step like labeling it, etc., how you do that. And step 2 is we talked about top down versus bottom up, and here we're going to do the top down and try to visualize the strategy. All right, so this is not a perfect triangle I have here, but notice that it looks like all the sides are of different lengths because I don't want it to be nice and equilateral. So this is a general looking setup. So fine, our diagram's okay. Next, since we're trying to get 180 degrees involved, we don't have anything labeled. So it might be a good idea. I'm just going to call this A degrees, B degrees, and C degrees. So in essence, what are we trying to show? We're trying to show that A plus B plus C is 180. So I'm going to put a question mark here because we didn't show that yet, but that's what we would like to show. All right. So here is how we're going to figure it out. So we may have insights, but there's a process that leads to those insights. Sometimes it could be haphazard, oftentimes it is. But just because, a lot of creative people can't verbalize how they got to an idea, there was a process. They didn't just wake up with an idea. They did some research, they did some thinking, they explored, they listened to other lectures, whatever. All right. So that's sort of like plowing the field so that the plants can grow later on. You've done your homework. All right. So since we want to show that these sum to 180, and many of you already know that the angles in a triangle sum to 180 because you've been told that, but if we're trying to prove this, we don't know that. So the only thing that we do know that is 180, or one of the obvious things, and here is the process. So the idea is to think, what do we know that is 180 that can help us? So 360 degrees is a circle, and 180 degrees, that's right, it's a line. So if we can get a line involved and show that this is the same as the angles as this whole 180 in a line, then we're good. So the question is, how do we get this line involved here? So we already have a lot of existing lines. I mean, here's a line, here's a line, here's a line, but we need to relate these angles to, like, we need to find a way of getting B to relate to this line. So if you've watched the previous video, you may already have an idea. So, like I said, our options are to use one of the existing lines or to add a new line. Let's try adding a new line. Now we don't want to add some sort of like random line that just goes like this way, because then it's going to be hard to figure stuff out. So the idea is, why don't we make the new line related to one of the existing lines? How do we make it related? We're going to make it parallel. So since this is in our diagram, this is our base, this looks like our base, we're going to make a line that's parallel to this. Now we could draw it here, here, here. I'm going to choose to draw it right over here. Now this may not seem like a huge deal, but we're in fact well over 50% 50% of the way there to completing the proof. I want to emphasize, and many of you already some of you might see where we're going to go from here. So I really want to emphasize think about how we knew to do this, not just like here's how you do it. Okay, any other YouTube video, whatever, textbook, many of you have been told how to do this and you probably forgot or you never knew. If you figure out why we chose to do this, think about that. That's where the real growth is going to happen. So I frequently encounter problems I've never seen, but if you learn how to think about them, you'll be able to do a lot of problems. All right, so that line is critical because now if we remember our previous video and our railroad track setup or the Z setup with that transversal, here are our railroad tracks, so these are parallel. And it might be a little hard to visualize, so sometimes it helps to just extend this line. So this is our line, this side of the triangle, and we're just going to extend it. And we can extend this one as well. So if we've done that and you go back to the previous video, we can see that we have alternate interior angles. So this angle A is the same as this. So in other words, in this letter Z, these are the same angles. So therefore, that must be a letter A. That must be also 8 degrees. So you guys probably know where we're going with this. So if this is C degrees, you probably know where we're going to go. So that's also C degrees because we can also extend this line. So that's another transversal that cuts these same railroad tracks. So if you just ignore everything else, these are the same angles. If you're having trouble following why I've labeled these A and C, go back to the previous video and look at alternate interior angles. All right, so now what have we created? We've duplicated our angles, but we've lined up all of our ducts. So we have A, B, and C, and together they are 180 degrees. So that shows you that the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. Cool, so hopefully you found that helpful. Again, I want to repeat again. I really don't care about the proof, and I hope you guys don't care too much either, but I hope you are paying attention to the process. I want to emphasize process a million times. Process. Okay, I think you guys got it. So the process of how we figured it out. So once the problems get harder, if you have a good process, you'll be able to do a ton of stuff. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.